know what time it is. It's your boy DJ RichieSkye back with some tea, interviews, recaps, and more. And be sure to check the links in the description of this video for trips, for books, one-on-one sessions, and more. Now let's get into the tea. Y'all, we are back in the building, and we got to talk about Married to Medicine. And you know, some of this discussion is kind of going to be a two-part thing, right? Because there is the episode, and then there is the drama outside of the episode. All right. So, because there's so much to cover, because we now have, of course, Dr. Heavenly's live, where she always spills some tea. And then we got Sweet Tea's YouTube channel, where she too is spilling some proverbial tea, right? So we'll have to handle that in a separate video, likely tomorrow. But for now, we're going to talk about the episode. All right, so let's dive on in. This is episode 3 of season 11, and it's called Saddle Up Cowgirls. Okay. If I had to rate this episode on a scale of 1 to 10, you know, my enjoyment level was at a 9. You know, just to give you a preview, there is something that Sweet Tea says in her YouTube video regarding this week's recap, that she feels like some of the ladies spend too much time self-producing. So, and I want to talk about that really quickly because I think it's important, right? There is this idea of, we know that this is a reality TV show and we know that things need to happen and people need to do their jobs, right? So some of what is happening is the ladies doing their jobs. But I guess what we also can talk about, you know, especially seated here now, is whether or not when they're doing their jobs, it feels authentic or not, right? Because the audience is smart. That's something that Sweet Tea says in her video, in her Q&A. So, you know, it does. One of the things that I feel like I enjoy about Letitia, aka Sweet Tea, and Dr. G's story is that it does feel very authentic. It feels like, I don't know, it feels very, it feels genuine what they're kind of experiencing in terms of, you know, her struggle with endometriosis, which is something I'm assuming that there are a lot of women out there that can identify with, and maybe the men in their lives can identify with it as well. And it leaves me with this interesting just question of why there is very little interest in some of the doctors, maybe like Simone and maybe even Dr. Jackie, with as much work as they do in, I don't know if you would call it maternal medicine, but I know that Simone did refer Sweet Tea to a specialist, and that was mentioned last season, I believe. But just even, I think the extension of maybe a Dr. Jackie in trying to maybe build a bridge with Sweet Tea, especially with the amount of work that Dr. Jackie does in this space, would have been a great story to tell to further integrate Sweet Tea into the group in a way that's authentic, is particularly given their sort of rough patch that they had last season, right? Instead of showing all the time, you know, we see every episode, we see Dr. Jackie doing a lot of educating. And that's what I came to realize, is that, you know, Dr. Jackie's role is giving us that education in regards to healthcare. And so that's likely why she's standing front and center in the theme and the credits to the show. But I think also in having that sort of lead medical role on this show, that it also needs to come with engaging with cast members. Now, is it her sole responsibility to do so? No, it's not. But I just think that there's a missed opportunity there to explore a new type of story that hasn't been told within this group in a new and interesting way, so that we're not reliant on just the same old regurgitated drama that becomes whether or not Quad is accepted into the group, whether Sweet Tea is accepted into the group. That is a common recurring theme of whether or not one of the doctor's wives is accepted into this group. We can go back to season 1 and look at that as a theme because it happened to Quad. It did. And now the same thing is happening to Sweet Tea. Now, is it that the commonality between the two of them is that they are both, or in some way, shape, or form, tied to Dr. G? Is he the reason? Or is it just, what is it? What is it? What is it? Because there was a major push for Sweet Tea and Dr. G to come back. So the isolation just feels odd and off to me. Now, granted, Dr. Heavenly and Sweet Tea, they have legitimate reason to not to have that distance. But everybody else, it just feels kind of odd, such that she is, I don't want to say relegated, but it seems like her and Phaedra are kind of on a different show. It just does. And so in terms of going back, let's circle back to what I was talking about earlier in terms of whether or not people are producing. I mean, one could say Toya was producing so she could get some type of eventual tea out of Phaedra, because I do believe that there is a disconnect between Phaedra and some of the ladies. And I think that there could be good reason that Cecil brings up to Dr. Simone in the episode. The reason why you don't know that Quad has a man is likely A, because you kicked her out of the group. So why would she tell you about her man? Why would she? Why would you expect that she would tell you about anything in her personal life when you guys have tossed her by the wayside like yesterday's trash? Now, again, if the theory is, for which Simone says she doesn't feel the need to apologize, that Quad doesn't show up for the girls outside of filming, then okay. Then you don't, if you standing by that, she feels she owes Quad an apology for, bringing up what she brought up at the reunion, which I shan't revisit, because I do understand that that's painful. But she's not going to apologize for kicking Quad to the curb in Napa, because she felt like she was justified because they don't hear from Quad until it's time to film. So they needed to teach Quad a lesson. All right. But in teaching Quad a lesson, you should know that you can't then complain that you don't know what's going on in her personal life, because I wouldn't share it with you either if you kick me off of the trip, thus off of the show, thus affecting my coin. You don't get those privileges. Sorry. So don't act surprised when you don't know that I got a babe and it's been a year and you don't know nothing about it. Okay. So, having said that, Quad gets, let's read the description of the episode. Saddle up, cowgirls. It says Quad gets a very special and expensive gift from her boyfriend. And we're going to go back to Toya. So don't worry. I'm going to bring this all full circle, because I like a circle. Okay. So anyway, Quad gets a very special and expensive gift from her boyfriend, King. All right. So this is where we see at the beginning of the episode, Quad is in the kitchen cooking up, I'm sure using some sass by Miss Quad or whatever. Did they even show the product? I feel like they should have. That would have been a perfect opportunity to show the product. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I missed it. Because I'm watching and I'm in my mind sometimes thinking and processing, so I might have missed that, but I'm thinking huge opportunity right there to showcase her product. Hopefully she did. I think she has a cookbook as well. Hopefully that was placed in the scene. Um, let's maximize the moments, okay? Um, and we get to meet King, her man. Right out the rip, for me, I'm always into like, what do you do for work? Because if you're able to roll up with in gift quad a car, now is it it's a luxury rental car service, or is it luxury car transport? Whatever it is, whatever the business model is, listen, what I want to know is this one of the rentals, or is this just the fruits of the business? Because that sounds amazing to me. And if it's the fruits of the business that you are able to gift Quad a vehicle, we've seen Quad in this space of being, of new car before, but who's ever mad at a new car as a gift, especially one like that? Um, King as a person, we don't know much about him yet, but he seems to adore Quad. They look stunning together. So as Quad is talking about, potentially having a baby with this man, it's like, I'm all the way here for it. I feel like Miss Quad, yes, yes, yes. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Cook that man some dinner. He done bought you some new luggage. Mind you, well, I was looking for that luggage when I was in Greece. And I so regret that I allowed the salesperson to talk me into getting something else, which I then resold via the real. And I still go back to this day to that moment, and I think to myself, follow your instinct, follow your instinct. Anyway, um, so that's that. Do y'all like quads, man, or not? I think they look good together. I think that they make a cute couple, and I hope it lasts forever. And it would be an exciting story for Quad to now, being on the show initially, going through the divorce, and then hopefully it would be amazing to see both Quad and Sweet Tea with their new men. Also, wouldn't that be crazy if they got pregnant at the same time? Because that's kind of the story. I just realized they're both trying to get pregnant at the same time. What would that is the season 12 story right there. I'm proclaiming that if that's what they still both want. And we'll talk more about T and her fertility journey because that's going to come up later. Toya has advice for Eugene's new business, whether he wants to hear it or not. So what I do love, I love this. This is why I love this show. Even as what I love is that it shows the partners of those who are married to who are actually in the field, actually being helpmates in the business. As listen, I guess there's an element to Dr. G, not Dr. G, but Dr. Eugene and Toya's story that I very much identify with. They're very much identify with. And so to see him go from the stress of that level of emergent ER care, to be able to open up his own practice in a field that is booming right now in terms of men, testosterone and therapy, and weight loss and all of those things. That is booming at the moment. Okay. So I'm in agreement with Toya about adding in those other services like the Botox. I pointed out to y'all earlier in my video, man. Imagine I cannot even imagine the smoothness. See, look, cannot. I just want to look like fresh. You know what I'm saying? But instead, I'm looking like this. And I'm with all the lighting. Okay. The lighting it helps a lot. But what I'm saying is like, man, like I do agree, and I see her vision, and I feel like, yes, Toya, yes, yes, you are correct. But I also understand that he wants to take his time and get his feeling and grip on the business before it overloads and overwhelms him. But I think, my God, man, like, you are sitting on a gold mine, and with Toya as his marketing person, I just feel like they really do have something special there that they could really blow up. I do. I do. I really, really do. So hopefully he takes her advice at some point, because I think that she's onto something. Cecil and Simone deal with their boys. They basically, they have paid for this place, this condo for the boys, and they go visit the condo, and the place looks like like a wreck. Like, honestly, I want to be for real with y'all. Like, even like I even in college, like, I've had some roommates in college that weren't necessarily the cleanest, but like our spaces never looked like that. Like, what they had going on, I don't know if that was. I hope that was like set up, and they ain't really living like that. Cause, like, for real, that place looked nasty. Like, it did. Like, it was just too much. Like, for it to be, no, no, and to be honest with you, if I'm Cecil and Simone, I'm not cleaning up their trash. I'm not. Y'all want this place, y'all keep it spick and span. And if not, y'all gonna have to get out. Like, no, no. At least keep the place somewhat clean and decent. Like, food bags and stuff on the, like, no, come on now. We can't be doing that. I understand you might have a day where it's like, or a week where we can't, just at least just straighten up, so surface level we don't see all of this stuff. But that's the reality, and I'm not mad that they showed it to us. And Cecil and Simone gonna have to do some discipline, and and saying, like, if you don't keep this place clean, we gonna start charging y'all some real rent. For real. Cause they can easily Airbnb that bad boy to some people and really make some money off of it. Legit, right? Heavenly teaches her son the ropes in her dental office. I'm gonna be for real with y'all. I didn't really like this scene. And the reason I didn't like it, because I felt like I couldn't tell if it was staged or not. Because I don't know about you, but I want to know that the person that's working in my mouth know what to do. And the way they showed it made it feel like he didn't really know what he was doing. And I get that he's learning, so there is some learning being done. And I think it's courageous to show him in that light, right? Because at some point he's going to be the expert, but he's still learning. So Dr. Heavenly is putting him through the paces. I'm just looking at it as the patient. I'm feeling like, ooh, you ain't know to put your glasses, like all these extra little things. And then they got to rewind it. I think it was the rewinding that made me like kind of cringe. Like, is this real? I mean, I got the special effect of it all, but it felt like, what? It was a little too meta for me, maybe. I think that's what it was. Like, the rewinding of it, like, and filming it almost like you film a scene from a movie or something. I don't know. Something about it just didn't hit me the way I think it was supposed to hit me, as if they just played it all the way through and she has simply said, listen, baby, that ain't how you do it. Let mama show you how to do it. Okay. I think I would have rather that have happened. But again, this is another one of those instances where we're seeing the reality of her son learning the ropes. So I can't even hate on it, because I'm like, he got to learn. He got to learn. And this is showing like this, you ain't do it right. So we're going to do it all over again. So props to them, and props to the patient. Okay. Props to the patient. Cause I would have been like, mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm. Dr. Heavenly, you better be up in my mouth. I mean, pause. But you know, y'all know what I'm saying. You best to be the one about my mouth today, okay? And you know, I'll be back to him in about a year, okay? But again, no props to them because that again, reality. These are the things that even if it makes you cringe, that you got to appreciate about a show like this because there's no other show that's doing that. Okay? Not with these black doctors and dentists and psychiatrists. Like nobody's doing that. Phaedra deals with Apollo and his marital affairs. Okay, so what happens here is that Apollo drops Phaedra's leaving the kids with Apollo because they're about to go on a girls' trip. And we'll get to that in a second and how that comes about. And while he's there, he lets her know that, yeah, he ran into Toya, who proceeds to ask him about his marital affairs because during the time of filming, there was a story that came out about some big blow up that happened between, Apollo and his wife. And we don't know the follow up to that. We didn't get no follow up to it. We just got that Toya was asking about, his marital affairs. And then we get a flashback. Now, I would have rather them shown the flashback because they moved through it so fast. This, honestly, could have taken the place of some other scene in the show. Just saying. I would have liked to have seen. No, I guess because they wanted to balance it. So I got to give them that. They balance the medical with the drama. So I have to give props where props are due for that because they could have made it all about the drama. And that's a risk, right? It's a risk of whether what do you show and what can you get in a flashback? And I feel like sometimes a flashback scene could have been much more beneficial. So I would have organized the episode differently, right? And I don't know. I'm like, why has no one hired me yet? I'm quite curious. Because I know in my mind I'm like I could definitely help organize an episode to maximize drama, chaos, story. Okay, I'm for hire. I don't want to work a lot of hours though. Anyway, so what I would have done is I would have shown that scene with Phaedra and Toya because when you see the preview of what's coming, especially what I think about what's coming, I just feel like you should have shown us that scene, that full scene of Phaedra of Toya telling Phaedra that she saw Apollo and she was asking him all those questions, and Phaedra just kind of like giving us face, but no response, right? And I'll give Toya some credit for doing some work because she was doing the good reality TV work and trying to get the tea. Because the story's popping. You brought Apollo to the reunion, so you now brought him into the mix. And so he is fair game now that you brought him to the table. And I guess that's what Toya's thinking. So you got to give me something, a reaction to this news, for which, to be quite honest with you, Phaedra could have used and been like, oh, child, yes. Listen, I heard about it too. Oh, God, I'm so embarrassed for them. Something, but we don't know if she said anything or not. So all she says to Apollo in this moment was, how nosy of Toya. And we starting to get a hint of annoyance from Phaedra. What I also thought was interesting was, and this was probably the most revelatory thing that Phaedra has given us about her relationship with Apollo, is that she does not allow him in her home because she thinks he's crazy. And she basically said, he's crazy. And I thought to myself, now, okay, here is some context. All right, this is what you think of him. Like, give me more of that. And I'm sure she probably doesn't want to revisit that And I'm sure there's a lot that she didn't want to revisit. But, you know, I think that she is integrated with some ladies in the group, but they don't really give us those scenes in full detail, so we don't really know, right? And the only reason we know that there's some level of closeness to at least anybody on the cast is really because of Sweet T's commentary on her Q&As with the learning that she's actually being invited to events that are being filmed for Housewives. So we know that there's actually a real relationship there. So let's explore that a bit more. And I think that's how we get to know Phaedra a bit more. But it's definitely not going to be with Toya, because Phaedra now has to determine whether or not Toya really wants to get to know her or just wants to know her tea. There's a difference. Girl, are you calling me outside of camera time hours? Or are we hanging out? Are we sending each other memes? Or are you being a quad to me? And does Phaedra call them? I mean, the phone works both ways. So there's a little bit of a conundrum here that we need to solve. Contessa, Phaedra, and T come up with a plan. When we say T, we mean Sweet T. And I'm reading directly from the episode description. And I'm so glad that they were very thorough with this episode description. So bravo to whomever, no pun intended, whomever wrote this, because you got it right. T, Contessa, and Phaedra come up with a plan to fix the group. The ladies all head down to Florida for a Cowboy Carter-inspired ladies trip, but will it be the medicine they need? All right, so we see a scene. Whose house were they at? I think they were at Dr. Contessa's house. And if it was, baby, let me tell you something. Let me come over there. Was it Contessa's house or Phaedra's house? I felt like it was Contessa's house. Because, and for as fit as Dr. Contessa is, she had laid out that food. And I was like, it's making me, actually, I'm hungry right now. Yeah. Actually, I haven't even had lunch today. It's been that kind of day. But anyway, having said that, so I'm thinking to myself, like, this is an interesting little group here, in comparison to the rest of the ladies. This is why I said, it's two shows going on here. Like, let's intermingle these groups a bit. But they decide that they're going to plan a trip because the three of them it would have either have had to have been Dr. Jackie planning this trip, maybe actually Toya planning this trip. That would have made more sense. But since they gave her the Napa trip, I'm assuming there was like, we can't do that over again. We need to shake things up. So they give it to Sweet T, Phaedra, and Dr. Contessa because they at least all have some level of coolness with someone. There's some level of tension between Quad and Phaedra. There is level of tension between Quad and Sweet T for obvious reasons, but also T tells us that there was an argument that they had that really wasn't shown at the reunion. There's also the issue between Sweet T and Dr. Heavenly. I don't think that Dr. Jackie still even likes Sweet T from last year. Dr. Simone still has an issue that she needs to work out with Quad. So that leaves the three of them to try to connect the dots and bring everybody together. There's a little bit of talk about Quad's party, and it really does make total sense to me why A, Quad wouldn't invite Sweet T, and B, why Sweet T wouldn't go. I would definitely say it would be ill-advised to crash a party at someone's house. That while Quad did crash her bachelorette party, I definitely wouldn't be going to Quad's house if I'm Sweet T, because that wouldn't make no sense. Because if you didn't get an invite, you didn't even get it. Quad didn't even acknowledge the girl when she came to Dr. Contessa's house. So it should not be a good idea to go to her home. So I'm in agreement. Don't go there. Okay. What I did enjoy, though, was the montage at the end of the episode where they're headed to. I'm not even going to complain about where these ladies go anymore, because it seems like my complaints fall on deaf ears, and they're just going to relegate the cast of Married to Medicine to only going within a 100-mile radius or something. I don't know. How far is Orlando from Atlanta? I mean, they're not going to send these ladies far, ever, ever, ever. We'll never see them in across the pond. We'll never see them do anything. All the doctors and the doctors' wives we'll ever get will be a rowboat down the street. Okay, row your boat down the Chattanooga River. That's all they're gonna get. Down to maybe they'll let them go to the Mississippi River. Maybe they'll let them go to some beach on the Atlantic Ocean, some mountain in the mountains in the region. Down to whatever park they go to in Atlanta. Some Pebble Beach, somewhere close by, again, in a rowboat, not a yacht, never a yacht, just simply, they get a dinghy. That's all they ever get. So I'm not going to complain no more. I'm not going to complain about them just getting, the bottom of the barrel. I don't even listen. I hope it looked like they was in first class. Maybe they were, maybe they weren't. I don't know. It was probably a propeller plane. Who knows? I'm surprised. The plane was probably being pulled by a freight train anyway, and it wasn't really in the sky. They probably all drove really, and they just set them on the plane for the photo op. They probably had to drive themselves. Why do y'all always do this cast so dirty? Anyway. So they head down to Orlando of all places. Yeah, because is that the place we all go glamping? I don't know. The girl y'all could have gone glamping in Dr. Heavenly's backyard for all that. Anyway, so the montage of them flying down is cute and everything like that. And then it's nice to see Toya and Quad sitting next to each other. I like to see that. And then the prayer in the car with Quad and Dr. Heavenly and Dr. Jackie and Toya, I think it was, giving us the fast forward. I thought that was superb editing. That is how you do a to be continued. Please, other franchises, take note. Do not overuse the to be continued and then don't give us a trailer, a preview. This is how you do it. You intercut it into the episode. And voila. Thank you, production, for getting it right. All right, so with that being said, that's my recap of Married to Medicine. What episode again was this? This was season 11, episode 3, Saddle Up, Cowgirls. Let me know your thoughts in the chatterization down below. And with that being said, I will catch you in the next video. Now that you've watched today's video, let's get into this group trip to Cape Town, South Africa. Yes, y'all, Skye Squad, we are hitting South Africa and we are hitting it hard. April 10th through the 17th of 2025. You can click the link in the description of this video to get more information and to reserve your spot. Now we're going to keep this intimate because we have a lot to do. We are going to be looking at real estate. We're going to be learning about retirement and permanent visas, dual citizenship, buying and purchasing land. We are going to be looking at it all because we want options in South Africa, baby. And listen, Cape Town is one of my favorite cities. So of course, we're going to be doing some of my favorite things. We are going to be hitting the wineries. We are going on a safari. We're going to Table Mountain. We're going to some of my favorite restaurants. Let me tell you, one of them is Gold Star, baby. If you know, you know. We're going to be meeting with some expats who have relocated from the United States to Cape Town as well. This is going to be a luxury experience, okay? So we're talking doing the absolute most. So if you've ever wanted to go to Cape Town, South Africa, but maybe you didn't have the group to go with, maybe you just didn't have the right people that wanted to go and experience it with you, this is an opportunity for you to come with us. Now, I only have about 10 to 12 spots available.
Yes, because again, I'm trying to keep this thing intimate, and I know that what type of experience I want it to be. So get in while you can, y'all. Trust me, in 2025, we are going to be needing all the options that we can get. And I am going to do my utmost to bring us the most that we can possibly get in and out of the country. So come with me to South Africa. The group trip is going to be lit April 10th through the 17th. Go ahead and click the link in this description of this video so that you can reserve your spot today. Cape Town, South Africa awaits.